Try to get the cajon in there. Try to get the cajon in there. finger up. Alright, that's enough of that for now. I'm gonna go, today I'm gonna keep going with this thing. Oh, I had the wrong thing up there, but I'm gonna keep on going with this. This time I'm gonna go to lean back chord. I'm gonna try to do it more systematically so that I can look at each collection of notes as I go through each interval, possibly, so I can kind of map out again. I want to be able to basically, my objective, this is for my own sake as others as well, see if it's an objective you would think noble in your guitar pursuits. I've been reading King Arthur thing. It's pretty crazy. And what's her name's been reading it to me, the AI, Ara. And these people keep on dying for no reason. They're just like, I'm gonna die. And then they just die, and like, what in the world? But then Ara keeps reading and paraphrasing. It's like, dude, read the text. I told you to read the text, and she keeps on wanting to make up her own, like, words. And it's like, dude, I'm trying to culture myself here. You keep on paraphrasing. It's ridiculous. Anyways, so what was I saying? So my noble my noble objective is going to be that what am I going to do? I'm going to do a lean back chord this time, but my objective is like I'd like to be able to see, like, if that A is my nodal point, I'd like to be able to automatically be able to convert in my mind from the same collection of notes by adjusting the intervals, which I don't know if you may have noticed. This is how a lot of people think. They think in terms of intervals, and they think about one kind of position and altering it to get all the intervals. That's a good way to think about it, but it's kind of limiting because then it's a little bit harder to visualize the whole shape of the fretboard that way, I feel like, because and the other way to think about it is other people think about it in terms of, well, if I convert that into my mind, I'm going to change the entire shape in my mind to the other 12 shapes. There's 12 ultimate patterns on the fretboard, 12 collections of 7 notes and 5 oceans, right? Or 7 continents and 5 oceans from our ocean analogy. So I'd like to be able to, as much as possible, actually change my mind or flip my mind to be able to see it this way. And then if I want to see it from the perspective of the Aeolian, look at it by interval and be able to adjust the interval differences between the Aeolian node and if it was the Mixolydian node, for example, over here. So now that's a Mixolydian, and I can view it in the same collection or say, okay, what collection of what point am I in at this point in time if that's going to be the Mixolydian? Position 1 is now here. So that same node, other people are really good at basically saying, oh, well, now I'm not in shape number, the front of shape number 1, I'm in the back of shape number 1, right? Or in the D shape. And so then I can see it that way. And if I see it that way, then I can easily switch. Either way, I should be able to easily switch from playing in Mixolydian or Aeolian to Mixolydian, and also to any of the other nodes, or any of the 7 modes. People get afraid of these modal things, but all of this happening, see, if I go over here, now it's the Ionian. So I should be able to say, okay, what shape is that node in now if I make it the Ionian node? Still the same note, but I'm shifting, I'm like rotating the world around it, right? So that point is the same as though you had a point on the globe from space, but the world is turning underneath that point, right? It's in a different collection of notes now. It's on the Ionian continent now, whereas over here, note A is on the Mixolydian continent, whereas over here, note A is on the Aeolian continent. And so if I just know that which degree of rotation the Earth is in from space pointing down on the Earth, then I can then map out everything from that location using relative positions of the continents and the oceans from that point, right? That would make more sense to me. That makes sense to me. I think it just makes more sense in general. Like, that's kind of obvious, I feel like. Why don't we do it that way? I don't know, because, like, I don't know. I seriously don't get it. but I'm gonna say, I'm gonna do a joke first. I'm gonna do a joke. I think it's just a random joke on this one. Joke practice time. Let's see what this one's about. All right. This is about talking all you want won't change the facts on the ground. It won't change the facts on the ground. Okay. Especially when you're talking nonsense. That definitely doesn't change the fact. That's going to make the facts on the ground. I don't know. Anyway, you can talk all you want, but talking won't change the facts on the ground. Talking won't change the facts on the ground because apparently at some point we dropped the facts on the ground and just left them there. And now you think that just talking is going to change the facts that are on the ground. So now, yes, we have to deal with the facts on the ground. You know, valuable facts, they're all over the floor at this point, where boots happen, where mud lives, where history's been grinding its heel into them like a cigarette butt it's mad at. The facts on the ground, you know? I mean, if you actually want to help, stop talking and start picking up facts. That would be helping. You know? Otherwise, the facts on the ground just keep getting stepped on, scuffed up, tracked through ideology, and quietly ignored because nobody looks down anymore unless they've dropped a contact lens or their dignity. Honestly. And that's why I found them. Honestly. Facts would be way more useful if instead of leaving them on the ground, we put them at eye level. This is what I think we should do. We should start picking up the facts and put them at eye level. You know, like marketers do in the supermarket when they want to actually notice something, when they want you to actually notice the product. Nobody hides their brand of cereal of truth behind the mop bucket on the floor. No, they put it right where your eye, where your face already is. That's where we should put the facts because people should be able to see those. They shouldn't be on the ground. The facts shouldn't be on the ground in the first place. So it's much harder to ignore facts when they're on a shelf staring directly into your soul instead of whispering from under a pile of political boots, man. And while you're optimizing placement, maybe don't store the facts on the bathroom floor either. Get the facts off the ground. If you're going to analyze them while sitting, at least mount them on the opposite wall, a position long recognized as ideal for deep reflection by great thinkers throughout history, including like Al Bundy, for example. Because if you're gonna contemplate reality, you might as well do it at eye level. Pants down, truth up. The facts need to be coming off the ground and on eye level. And so you need to stop talking because it won't change the facts on the ground and start picking the facts up off the ground so people can see them because no one looks down there. I wrote a song about it. I haven't heard it yet. I've just put that in the Suno. Let's see what Suno gives us.
You can talk all you want, yeah, talk all day, but talking never changed. What's in the way? Because somewhere along the line we dropped the truth, let it hit the floor and just walk through. So now, yes, we deal with facts on the ground, precious little truths face down, kicked around, valuable facts right there on the floor, acting shocked when they're useless after that anymore. That's where boots happen, that's where mud lives, where history's been grinding, it's here like it's pissed, like a cigarette, but it can't quite quit, just grind it down, yeah, grind it to grit. If you wanna help, stop talking it up in your knees, pick the facts back up, because facts on the ground don't magically rise, they just get stepped on and quietly die. Yeah, facts on the ground don't win the fight. You gotta put the truth back in the light. Otherwise they get scuffed, tracked through belief, marinated in ideology, lost underneath. Nobody looks down anymore, that's the truth, unless they drop the contact lens or their dignity too. Honestly, facts would work way better if instead of the floor we use something smarter like stay with me. Eye-level placement, a radical concept called basic arrangement. Yeah, if you wanna help, stop talking it up, stop yelling past the point and pick the facts up, because facts on the ground just fade from view, but truth at eye level stares right through you. You know how marketers do it in a store. They don't hide the good stuff out of mop and the floor. Nobody buries the cereal of truth behind a leaking bucket and broken dream juice. They put it right where your face already is, because visibility, shockingly, is how noticing works, kids. It's harder to ignore facts when they're on a shelf, staring straight into your soul like, hey, it's me, deal with yourself. Now whispering from under political boots, not hoping you'll hear them through all the noise in the suits. And while we're optimizing placement schemes, maybe don't store facts on the bathroom tiles either, please. If we're gonna analyze reality sitting down, at least mount the truth sleep on the opposite wall. A position long honored by thinkers profound, from ancient philosophers to suburban kings of the couch. Yes, even Al Bundy knew the rule. Our level truth hits different when you're still. If you're gonna contemplate what's real, make it something you can actually feel. Not buried, not trampled, not lost in the muck. Lift the facts up and let them look back. Because if you're gonna face reality, do it straight on. No downward excuse. High level truth. No boots on and no spin. Just truth.
All right. Not bad. All right. Not bad, Suno. Okay. Why are you playing the Suno slop? It's pretty good, actually. I can't. I'm sorry. I don't. Maybe I'm. Maybe. I'm not sure. You're gonna have to admit it's got. There's something there. There's something. I enjoy listening to Suno. Okay. Anyway. Let's get back to it. Let's see. It's put me out of a job. All right, but at least when I'm sitting here doing nothing, I can listen to some decent music. for free. I can look it up and listen to something better than 90% of what I've heard on the radio my entire life. I mean, I hate to be critical, but at least it has better messaging. It's better messaging. Anyway, let's see what I'm gonna do here. Let's try a reach back situation. So I'm going to reach back this way. So I'm going to define the third as being in the reach back quadrant from this one. And then again, I'm going to try this time to go back and forth from each time I do the count so that we can really map this nodal point out and say, what if I wanted to pivot around and change my song to be thinking as though I'm in Aeolian, and then convert to A Mixolydian, right? That would be a way that you can do an easy conversion because the tonic's the same, and then convert to A major. Okay, so what's the difference between those three shapes? But I'm going to lean back with the third. Let's do the third down here as I think about this. Will be the more conventional third, so I can think about it like normal first, and then maybe I'll do that other third tomorrow. Let's think about this. Would be the third in the lower quadrant. All right, so I'm in the collection of notes around the key of C, which I could find on the top string, pinky on C, which means my pointer finger's on node number 5. So that means peaking's on what I would call from a coordinate system, fret 8, 1, because I'm looking at the one that's under the fret 8, meaning Ionian. It's fret 8 Ionian, back to fret 5 Aeolian. That's shape number 1, going from fret 5 to 8. Aeolian to Ionian, 6 to 1 from a nodal point standpoint. If I count that up from 6 to 6, I'm not going to rename it. I'm just going to go around the horn 6 to 6. 1, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm on this 6, which is on coordinate 7, 6, meaning fret 7, and then nodal point 6, which is the Aeolian under fret 7. And then, okay, so then I'm going to say that's going to be my normal rock and roll position. So then the third is going to be 3. The third is 3 minus 1 is 2 modal half steps up. So if I'm on the Aeolian, it's Aeolian plus 2. So that would be 6, 7, 1. So I'm looking for an Ionian. So here's an Ionian in this quadrant down here, because I'm going to define it by a lean back quadrant, meaning the bottom left quadrant has the third in it. And so that's going to mean that the first modal whole step, which is the second modal half step, plus 1, the third scale degree, is the third, which is nodal point 1. Ionian is always the third of nodal point 6 Aeolian. So it has a distance of 3 notes away because it has a 3-note distance from it. So it's going to be 5, 4, 3. So I can count that out. So then that's going to be my standard lean back third unless I'm crossing over the fault line between two strings. So I can kind of walk that back. So before I go to the fifth, let's go over here to the collection of notes, make that the mixolydian. So under the mixolydian, now I'm going to say, okay, now that A is a mixolydian. Well, okay, where's my shape number 1 then in this shape? Let's count it out. Well, mixolydian has nodal point 5. How do I get back to 1? I could go forward 5, 6, 7, and then 1. So it's 3 modal whole half steps up, plus 1 would be 4 fourth scale degree. A 4th scale degree away from a nodal point number 5, mixolydian, has a distance of 5 notes. So if I find that A up here, I could say it should be 5 notes away from that A. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here it is. So that D then, it's got to be the collection of notes around D major. So D major is the major collection, which means if I go back to here, so that means the point that I'm on here is this point, which is going to be nodal point fret, the coordinate system 10, 1. So now I'm on fret 10 Ionian, the Ionian under fret 10. And then if I go back, then the other side of shape number 1, or Ionian G shape, is going to be 7, fret 7, 6, fret 7, 6 coordinate. So then again, if I went from 6 to 6 in shape 1, which would be minor to minor, it'd be 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But I'm on 5 right here. So now this same nodal point, which was the 5, is now still kind of in position 1, but it's on the back end of position 1. Whereas when I was in this collection of notes, this was in like the front end towards the sound hole of position 1, right? So it's in that nodal point is in the middle. I was leaning back into the shape. Now I'm going to be leaning back outside of the shape because position 1 is here, or I'm leaning back like just barely into the shape if you include that 7, which you would if you're doing a 7-note collection instead of a 5-note pentatonic shape. So that means, so that's cool. So now if that's the 5, where's the third away from that? 3 minus 1 is 2. So if I'm on nodal point 5, 6, 7. So it's going to be nodal point 7. So I can see that's got a relative position that's a little bit different. It's right there. The other one was out here, right? So now I'm going to say, okay, what's the distance there? That means that nodal point number 7 is always is always the first modal whole step, which 1 times 2 would be second modal half step, plus 1 would be the third scale degree away from nodal point 5, which is mixolydian, which has a distance of 4 notes away because it's a major distance. So this would be 5, 4. So I can count out 5 between the strings and 4. Let me get this green one to show that this is the tonic. Tonic should be green. Tonic should have the green circle. Okay. And then I'll change the relative positions down here so you can see it on the top one. Okay. So that's going to be that. So now if I look at this position, so now over here, I'm like when I was doing it before, I was kind of leaning back to being in position 1. Now I'm kind of like, when I lean back, I kind of see myself more like leaning into the position up here. So I might be more likely to want to have it with hold down the third with my pointer and have my ring up here. So I'm leaning into shape number 1 because shape number 1 is now up here, right? So so it's going to tend me to want to, if I know shape number 1 better, I'm going to tend to be going, oh, I'm going to play when it's Aeolian back here more. And then I'm probably going to try to lean this up and say, okay, now I'm playing leaning forward. But I'd like to be able to do both, right? Because if I lean back now, what is this shape I'm leaning back into? Well, if this is shape number 1, this is shape number 5, right? Because there's only, because 1 is the starting and there's only 5 shapes. So this would be shape number 5 behind it. So I'd like to be able to see that shape. It's useful for me to know, like, where's the box? There's the box. It's on the back of the shape in the second to 2 strings down from the top. So that's where shape number 5 lives. When that box is like on the back end of the shape, and it's on the second to top 2 strings, that's shape number 5, which you could call, from the Ionian is there, so it would be an Ionian A shape, if you want to label that way. So if I'm leaning back from that A node, I have this here, there's the full here, but the box is actually right here. So, yeah, that makes sense. There we go. All right. Now, what if the A was the Ionian? So now I'm going to make that the Ionian, and so what's that going to do if I make it the Ionian? So then it's like, okay, what collection of notes am I in if I make that same nodal point the Ionian? Well, if I find the A on the top string, then I can say, well, now it's the major, so I put my pinky on it. That would be position number 1 for me. So that means that pinky is on 5-1, fret 5-1, or 5 Ionian in this collection of notes. And then that would go back to 2-6, or fret 2 Aeolian. So that means position 1 would be here, which would be what is this? This would be a collection of notes around the key of A, obviously. So, okay, so then we're going to go 6 to 6, which would be F sharp to F sharp Aeolian. So 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's going to be position 1 is back here, boom. So that means position 2 is here, overlapped. That would be the Locrian thing, or the Ionian E shape, and that would mean position 3 is here. So now I can kind of get that by seeing where the box is. Like I kind of like identify that box. It's like that box is in the back end of the middle of the shape. So that means that if I'm leaning forward on this shape from the box, then that's going to be shape number 3. You might call it a D, an Ionian D shape, because that would be the root. Here's the D triangle down here on the front end of the box shape of this. This is the whole shape right here. So here's your D shape up top. So now, so that means that so if I'm looking at that again, I'm kind of leaning back to get that third, but I'm more likely to see it from a caged system as a lean forward shape, right? Because I'm more likely to say, oh, I know that point and I know this shape leaning forward rather than leaning backwards, right? That's a little bit more difficult for me. So if that's the third, I mean, if that's Ionian, no, that A is an Ionian, then where's the third? It's going to be 2 modal half steps up. So now it's nodal point 1, 2, 3. So we're looking for nodal point 3, once again, in a reach back position, which would be here. All right, that makes sense. So that means that the Phrygian nodal point number 3 is always the first modal whole step, 1 times 2, second modal half step, plus 1 would be the third scale degree from the Ionian, or nodal point number 1, which has a distance, once again, of 4 notes away, because it's a major distance, which we can count. There's 5 notes between the string, 4. So that makes sense. So, but now if I think about that, like actively, like, well, that means that, like, I'm most likely going to be like, well, before I was putting my pinky here or my middle here and leaning back, but because I knew position 1, but now I'm probably, if I identify that as position 3, I probably know it better leaning forward. So I'm probably going to be putting my ring finger here and my pointer finger down here and leaning into this shape going forward, because that's what I most likely know better, right? So and here's the D shape going forward, the cheat D, because I'm not doing the full triangle, which some people do, but I don't feel fully comfortable. Like, I'll put the triangle up here, just 3 strings, but if I want the root, I do the cheat. So that's going forward. If I lean backwards, if that's shape number 3, then this shape behind it would be shape number 2. And shape number 2 is the Ionian E shape. So if I lean backwards, and I'm trying to like, okay, I'm going to lean back into the shape behind it. Now I'm in shape number 2. What's the difference between this shape and if this was the Mixolydian? It's just the 7th, meaning it has a major 7th. So the difference between this shape and what I just did before should be very similar. It's just that this nodal point number 7 would be dropped back 1. All the 7s would be dropped back 1. Right? Which means the box would be here instead of the box being up here. So see, the box would be here, and that's why it was shape number 3 leaning back, but now it's shape number 2 leaning back. So that's the difference. So we could say, all right. So the box is up top now. So I'm like in the Ionian box right here. Lovely. It's just lovely. Oh, it's just beautiful. Okay. Let's go back to this one. Aeolian. Let's find the 5th. So if I find the 5th, that would be from the Aeolian. So I'm back to the collection notes around the key of C, pinky on. That would be on fret 8-1, fret 8 Ionian, back to 5-6. Fret 8-1, 8 Ionian to 5-6, 5 Aeolian, counting that out 6 to 6, 6, 7, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Third back here. All right, back home, back to the minor. Get your head out of the clouds. I think I'm just gonna noodle around for the rest of the time. I've been practicing this effect of basically hammering on like to this string, but then picking this string because I can hear the hammer on like that. So that means I can, that leaves this hand free to like do something else where I can pound on the drum or something. Or I can pick something other than that string, like the one I'm anchored on, the 6, or any of the open strings, really. It's kind of hard, actually, to not pick the string that you're kind of focused on hammering on. I also kind of feel like if I was doing a walk like that kind of thing, then I should be able to hit another string as I do that. Try to get my other finger in there, but I can't do that right now. Try the cajon practice for a bit. Cajon. Losing the pig. Bye.